Hello, new Stoics. This is Tim, and this is Daily Stoic. I apologize for not posting a video. I had a pretty busy day. I was out all day, and I didn't even have a chance to record. And even right now, my recording setup is going to be a little loud, but hopefully, the background music will kind of make sure that it's not so noisy in the background. So right now we're going to get back into the Enchiridion, and we're going to move all the way forward to 33, and it's a long one, so kind of buckle in because we're going to cover a lot of stuff today. It's probably going to be the longest video I've done. Alright, so here it is. Begin by prescribing to yourself some character and demeanor, such as you may preserve both alone and in company. Be mostly silent, or speak merely what is needful, and in a few words. We may, however, enter sparingly into discourse sometimes, when occasion calls for it. But let it not run on any of the common subjects, as gladiators or horse races, or athletic champions, or food or drink, the vulgar topics of conversation, and especially not on men, so as either to blame or praise, or make comparisons. If you are able, then, by your own conversation, bring over that of your company to proper subjects. But if you happen to find yourself among strangers, be silent. Let not your laughter be loud, frequent, or abundant. Avoid taking oaths, if possible, altogether at any rate, so far as you are able. Avoid public and vulgar entertainments. But if ever an occasion calls you to them, keep your attention upon the stretch, that you may not imperpetually slide into vulgarity. For be assured that if a person ever so pure himself, yet, if his companions be corrupted, he who converses with him will be corrupted likewise. Provide things related to the body no further than absolute need requires, as meat, drink, clothing, house, retinue, but cut off everything that looks towards show and luxury. Before marriage, guard yourself with all your ability from unlawful intercourse with women, yet not be uncharitable or severe to those who are led into this, nor boast frequently that you yourself do otherwise. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone. It is not necessary for you to appear often in public spectacles, but if ever there is a proper occasion for you to be there, do not appear more solicitous for any other than for yourself. That is, wish things to be only just as they are, and only the best man to win, for thus nothing will go against you. But abstain entirely from acclamations and derision and violent emotions. And when you come away, do not discourse a great deal on what has passed, and what contributes nothing to your own amendment. For it would appear by such discourse that you were dazzled by the show. Be not prompt or ready to attend private recitations. If you do attend, preserve your gravity and dignity, and yet avoid making yourself disagreeable. When you are going to confer with anybody, especially with one who seems your superior, represent to yourself how Socrates or Zeno would behave in such a case. You will not be at a loss to meet properly whatever may occur. When you are going before anyone in power, fancy to yourself that you may not find him at home, that you may be shut out, that the doors may not be opened, that he may not notice you. If with all this it be your duty to go, bear what happens, and never say to yourself, it is not worth so much. For this is vulgar, and like a man bewildered by externals. In company, avoid a frequent and excessive mention of your own actions and dangers. For however agreeable it may be to yourself to allude to the risk you have run, it is not equally agreeable to others to hear your adventures. Avoid likewise an endeavor to excite laughter, for this may readily slide you into vulgarity, and besides, you may be apt to lower you into the esteem of your acquaintances. Approaches to indecent discourse are likewise dangerous. Therefore, anything of this sort happens, use the first fit opportunity to rebuke him who makes advances that way, or at least by silence and blushing, and a serious look, show yourself to be displeased by such talk. So that's a lot of stuff. It's one of the bigger chapters, and this is kind of where I feel I slightly disagree with some of the things that were mentioned. So the part, many sections I do agree with. So when we're in company, it's not proper in the Stoic sense to be a real popular and outgoing, loud and boisterous kind of person and be Stoic, because you kind of descend into inappropriate talk, and he's kind of referring to the path of the philosopher, so it's best to avoid dirty talk or talking about crude subjects or just being inappropriate, and because of this, it's mainly how it provokes negative emotional reactions, either by taking offense, either by anger, either by disgust, and so it's best to avoid some of these kind of topics in public, and sometimes even in private. And the next section is how we behave in private is kind of keep to ourselves, don't talk so much, kind of be quiet, listen, be aware of our surroundings, and that's I think to avoid being taken advantage of or being singled out for crimes or something to that extent. So the next part is avoid taking oaths. I think it's just being wise, being legally minded about situations that we're being put into. So don't be taken advantage of. Don't get into situations that would put us into long-term disadvantage. Don't get into high interest bank loans. Don't make a deal with family members that would put you in an extreme disadvantage. Be aware of your situations. Be aware of things that could hurt you in the long run. So the next part is about going to public entertainments, which we have to keep in mind from this, that this is during the Roman Empire's around I believe I think it's around 100 BC or around there, and it was during a time where public entertainments were brutal. I mean, there gladiator fights, there would be naval battle scenes, people would die. I don't really know if it applies so much to modern entertainments, but I suppose in some ways you could say maybe music shows or anything that's just really rude and people are kind of screaming, losing control, acting real emotional. That's kind of the situation that you'd want to avoid as a Stoic. So the next part goes into one of the virtues of the Stoics, and that's moderation. And basically, we don't eat and drink too much. If we're drinking, we don't drink too much. If we eat, we don't eat too much. Let's just say it's like going to McDonald's. If you're looking at the menu, a Stoic's not going to order, a 5 for $5 meal where you have 5 Big Macs and you're just eating and you're just engorging yourself. It's a Stoic would probably have a chicken or a fish sandwich, and just that by itself, and that should be enough. And hopefully, like with a water or a small drink. So it's basically don't eat more than you can handle, and that kind of goes with anything with trying to be moderate. It's just don't do anything that you can't handle. So the next part I disagree with, and I guess I could agree in some ways, but it kind of places a lot of emphasis on waiting till you're married to have sex, which I don't really see what the point is. Because you could have moderate sexual relationships with people and still be a good person. I don't think. I mean, you can make sure that you're clean and you're not giving people disease. You could have not very many sexual partners and still have a good life. And the other thing is there's a lot of emphasis on just what a man should do. It doesn't really give anything to a woman. But my advice to the new Stoics would be that man and woman should be moderate in our sexual partners. We should have one partner at a time, and we should kind of stay with that person until the relationship falls apart, or we get married, or whatever. I think it's relatively improper to have multiple partners unless it's agreed upon, and it's a very difficult thing to do that. But I mean, if you can do that, I don't think it's improper as long as all the parties agree on it. If they don't, obviously that's not something I think a good person would ever get themselves into. So I wouldn't be set in stone about who we're sleeping with the Stoics, and I think Epictetus is wrong on this. But I think he is right about how we should view people that do sleep around. It really isn't any of our concern. It's not for us to judge. And because it's not really as big of a deal. And so we're going to get back to how we act and react to certain situations in this world. So if we're going to a music show, try not to lose control. Enjoy the music, but don't lose yourself in the process. Don't take drugs during the experience. Otherwise, you could get yourself in trouble. It's really important to not be in a situation where you could lose control. The next part is meeting with somebody who is higher in station with you. And it's the main thing there is to keep your dignity. Is even if somebody is higher than you, it doesn't mean that you can't act in a dignified way. You shouldn't be at their feet, kissing their feet. You shouldn't be doing whatever they say, no question. You should keep your dignity. You should have some courage and stand up for your values, and keep yourself, stay authentic. It's very important to do that. So this chapter is probably one of the few chapters that I disagree with, and I think it's kind of an older mindset. The other thing I don't really like so much is how it just feels like a lot of this advice is geared towards men rather than men and women. And I feel like it really, really could help a lot of women out there. A lot of the advice in being a Stoic. It could really help a lot of people in general. And I would like to take that as a challenge as a new Stoic to welcome men and women, and just know that it was a different time when the Enchiridion was written, and I think if it was written nowadays, it would incorporate a lot different mindsets. But that's my video for today. I'll be posting tomorrow as well, and I hope everybody's having a great day and have a good weekend, and make sure and keep your heads clear.